Thanks for tuning in to more IndyCar coverage on Prime Sports Speed with Eric Smith of RaceReviewOnline.net. We are back once again after a short hiatus, but that hiatus was nothing like the one that is going to take place after this race. Right, Eric?
Yeah. That's the short little break. Then we got a month off between now and Nashville after Sunday's race. So, gonna have a big break in the action before our final push to the championship when we return in August.
I want to let everybody know, especially for IndyCar fans who only pop in here for IndyCar shows, and that is the fact that we are running a special with our partners at RotoWire. So you have a free 10-day subscription. All you have to do is use the link, basically the code, you can say, URL, whatever you want to call it. It's rotowire.com/prime SN, as in Sports Network. So again, rotowire.com/prime SN. You get a free 10 days for everything at RotoWire, including their NASCAR coverage, baseball, everything that they cover for 10 days. Okay, so let's get into this race this week. The Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. So this is another road course race. And you know what? A couple of interesting things. We had for a while the different driver each race winning streak come to an end recently this season. But there's a 7-race streak, the same thing going on at this particular track in this series. So 7 different winners have won at Mid-Ohio in this race. And that's something that you might want to use in your trends because that's a big one. Maybe just as big, I don't know, maybe almost as big as the fact that you want to be starting, as usual, in the top 10 or preferably the top 8, maybe even the top 2, as often as those positions have won here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is going to be a track like Road America. Track position is going to mean something. The only way that something fluky happens, somebody outside probably the Fast Six. So you have the qualifying on Saturday.
Like a big wreck?
Yeah, you're going to need a wreck, or in the middle of a pit sequence, a caution comes and flips the field. That's really the only thing.
Like Belle Isle.
Yeah, because again, look, it could happen. Like here's another odd trend to throw to it. The last 6 races on the season, the driver that has led the most laps has not won the race.
Really?
Yeah. It starts back with Scott Dixon led 168 to 248 laps at Texas. The second race, he finished 4th. Grosjean led 44 of 85 laps in the GMR Grand Prix here at Indy. He finished 2nd. Connor Daly led 40 laps of the 200 and the Indy 500, 13th. Will Power led 37 of 70 in Belle Isle in race 1, finished 20th. Obviously, his car wouldn't fire. Joseph Newgarden led 67 of the 70 laps in the second race of Belle Isle, didn't win. Then he led 32 of 55 and was in the driver's seat for Road America in the last race, didn't win. So it goes to show you want to watch these races from start to finish, because even if the guy's dominating early, like, look, Penske, it's a big storyline to throw in this. They have not won a race this season. They should have won the last 3 races, according to those stats, and they haven't won. So, yes, starting position means something. You've got to be there and capitalize in the end. And granted, if the leader has a misfortune, wrong strategy whatsoever, you're there to capitalize. And a lot of times it still is a top 5, top 6 starter that's there to still capitalize, other than a fluke, caution, red flag, something that's going to completely throw a wrinkle into things that you don't even have in your plans, because why would you plan for it? This race, a lot of it's going to be won on Saturday in qualifying. You're going to know in that qualifying who is probably going to be the ones to win the race on Sunday.
Well, maybe this particular year you don't want to necessarily have to, because normally if you start 1st or 2nd, you're going to be leading laps. And 8 of the 15 drivers, since they've started racing at this track again, have 8 of 15 started in the top 2. That's over 50%. But there have been enough in the top 8. Matter of fact, I believe it's 13 of 15 that started in the top 8 So I think that's where I'm going to use. I'm going to use that top 8, not necessarily discount the top 2, but the top 8 might be more important than the top 2 this week based on those trends, those recent this season trends that you're talking about. The farthest anybody has won here recently, Ray Hall from the 13th position and Dixon from the 22nd position.
Yeah, and those are both races. Ray Hall had a good car. Dixon had a good car that day, but he got helped by a caution to kind of flip the field to put him there. You're going to have guys. The one thing to watch for this weekend too, and I see people kind of griping about, I get the gripe, is the race starts at noon. It's because it's a double header with NASCAR, which I like. NASCAR is running right after the IndyCar race. They had to shorten this race a little bit to 80 laps. It used to be a 90-lap race, so you can have a 2-stop, 3-stop, kind of the different varying strategies. You're not going to really see that this race. 80 laps is going to be 2 stops. You're just going to have a lot of fuel saving, which further helps the guys for starting spots because you can't really go off strategy. You're not going to, a 3-stopper is not going to work when even if you're saving on a track that's notorious hard to pass on.
They care that much about, what is that, an extra half hour?
Yeah, because NBC has NASCAR coverage starting at 2:30.
Is the race starting at 2:30?
No, the NASCAR race is after 3.
Yeah, of course.
Typical. Yeah,
I mean,
so they want the lead-in. Yeah, to me, I don't know why you don't do the NASCAR lead-in. Do the Countdown to Green show on NBCSN and let the IndyCar race play out. Because, you had to shorten the IndyCar race down so they're – and granted, I see what they're trying to do. If we do 80 laps, we're done in probably 2 hours or a little bit less. We got a little bit of post-race. We can interview the winner and drivers like that and move into the NASCAR coverage. But you've also shortened the race 10 laps. That's going to make this race – again, it's going to be the fuel save. It's what it's going to be. Because if you can get it 2 stops, which everybody's going to, then
so this is only – so the 80 laps is different from all the other races?
Yeah, last year I believe they ran both of them like 80 or 75 laps because it was the doubleheader weekend.
Okay.
So this is going to be similar. Usually it's a 90-lap race, 200 miles. Because if you add it up, it's not even – it's the Honda Indy 200 for 200 miles.
Yes.
They're not even running 200 miles.
Nice.
They are
okay.
It is 180.64 miles.
Well, that would be Honda Indy 186.4 race.
Yeah. So they shortened it to get it. So I see what they're doing. But I think 90 laps kind of adds the strategy factor because right now you really don't have any strategy. It's 2 stops. That makes qualifying even more important because of that.
All right. Well, just taking a look at some of the drivers and the odds here, it's obvious why Scott. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised Scott Dixon is not the favorite. Newgarden is, even though it's close. But I'm surprised when you're a 6-time champ, you're not the favorite. But that's okay. I'm surprised, but I'm perfectly willing to take advantage of the fact that Alex Palou is not getting the respect. He's 9-1. He leads the series in points. He's won 2 of the 3 road courses this season. I mean, what does the kid have to do? So good. Give me 9-1. I'll take it.
Throw everything his way. Yeah, absolutely. They probably just looked at his finishes last year and like, 12th and 23rd. But
that's last year.
And the 23rd, the guy qualified up front. He just got caught up in a first lap wreck, not of his doing.
Okay.
So that's the reason he was 23rd. He was with a worse car last year and qualified like 4th or 5th. I mean, he was up front. And that was the Santino Ferrucci and Colton Herta brought the first. They had that little tangle going in the first turn, which granted the first turn is on the start of the race is different than the first turn at the end of the race because they start in the backstretch at Mid-Ohio. But he was just an innocent bystander, got hit, and his day was ruined. But he was starting up front, and he said this is one of his favorite tracks. So you got 9-1, run with it because you know he's going to be good this weekend. And especially if he qualifies up front like he probably will, then that 9-1 is going to quickly probably become 4-1 to 5-1.
Yeah, I mean, definitely take the 9-1 now.
Plus, he hasn't won in the as you mentioned, 7 straight different winners. He's not one of the 7 drivers that have won. So there you go. You can continue that trend. So 9-1 where you can get him, grab him now.
And what about Pato O'Ward? Because he's 8-1. He won the street race and the oval, so he hasn't won the road course this year. But still, he's having a really great season, and he's 8-1.
Yeah, it's worth throwing some money his way right now. This isn't one of his better tracks.
Okay.
He's not as good on natural road courses. But again, you're getting a guy in the championship fight. He finished 11th and 9th last year in the doubleheader. he's a good racer, and you're getting him for 8-1. Why not? Why not just throw some money? Because again, if he has a solid start to the weekend, that's going to drop. So you might as well just grab him. I mean, I wouldn't throw a lot his way, but throw enough to get a little bit of a profit and hope to come out on top on Sunday. And if you don't, at least you didn't waste a ton of money on him. But yeah,
Who would you take between Dixon and Newgarden? And you're surprised Newgarden's favored over Dixon.
I would probably at this moment take Newgarden, only in the sense I feel like Dixon's missing something. I just feel like his car is not quite to his liking for a win. Is he a top 5, top 6 contender? Absolutely. I wouldn't put that past him. But you also look, he's won here 6 times. He's a 6-time series champion. But you also look at his recent stats since he's won the second to last time: 4th, 22nd, 9th, 5th, won 10th, 10th. So he's got 1 podium in that time frame.
That's true.
He hasn't had a lot of podiums dating back to last year. At this point, last year in a season, I should say. So I would probably side with Newgarden in the sense that look how much he's dominated the last 2 races on the season. As I just mentioned, he's led the most laps. He didn't win. He was runner-up in the first race of the doubleheader weekend last year. He won this race recently. He's got a 4th in another one. So that's 3 top 4s in his last 5 at Mid-Ohio, and you look how much he's dominating. So I would side a little bit towards Newgarden in the sense I feel like they're motivated, they're hungry, and they're probably pissed off from how these last few races ended. That where Dixon's in a championship fight too, but Newgarden's 4th, but he's like 80, 90-some points out. That Dixon kind of has to run for points. So I think they can swing for the fences more, which could help them.
Okay. Now, Will Power is 6-1. He won here last year. And Herta is 7-1. He also won here last year. Power is trending in the right direction, so that's a good sign. Herta, meanwhile, has got the street win at St. Pete. Who would you take between the two?
Oddly enough, probably Herta. And the reason why last year I would have said Power, but Power, I feel like they're missing a little bit of something in qualifying. They're not the old Will Power. I tweeted this yesterday about his qualifying stats at Mid-Ohio have been like front row, like an insane amount of time since 2010. I just don't feel like he's a front row car right now to capitalize on this. And out of all those times he started up front, granted, he's got 4 podiums in his last 6, 5 top 4s in that time frame. He's only won once at Mid-Ohio, and that was last year.
Yeah.
And we talked about how qualifying is going to mean something, and it sounds odd to say that probably the best qualifier in this generation right now. I just don't have faith he's going to qualify in the top 2 rows to capitalize. Or Herta, we've seen more times than not can. He won this race, the second race last year. He finished 2nd at Road America, a similar track. He's good at natural road courses. They're starting to build some momentum. I like where he's at right now, to where I feel more comfortable with Herta over Power at the moment.
Okay. Now, a couple of drivers, one at 12-1 Rossi, and another one at 30-1 Hunter Ray, have been pretty solid here recently. Matter of fact, Rossi has been 6th or better in his last 5 starts here. That includes his win in 2018. He was 2nd and 3rd last year. But he doesn't have a top 5 on the season, which is really surprising considering he's been there and he's had some opportunities. He just hasn't been able to get over that top 10 hump into the top 5. Hunter Ray, meanwhile, 3rd and 5th last year. And 3rd in 2019. He only has 1 top 10, though, on the season, but he is 30-1.
I would take them now in the sense that their odds for where they are. I don't trust them in a sense, and we talked about this in Road America, and it kind of rings true. I have it in my 5 burning questions tomorrow for IndyCar on their side, that when Andretti doesn't qualify well, they don't finish well. They don't take a car that's not dominant and win. Where other teams you can see like, hey, you know, I might have a top 3, top 5 car. I don't have a dominant car, but they could win in it.
Okay.
Andretti hasn't. For some reason, these guys, if you look at what Rossi's won, actually I have in my notebook here, you got to look at the races he's won and what he's done in those races. In 2019, his last win at Road America, he led 54 of 55 laps. Long Beach that year, 80 of 85. Pocono before that, 180 of 200. Mid-Ohio, 2018. 66 of 90. Long Beach before that, 71 of 85. He's got to qualify in the top 2 or 3 to win these races.
Okay.
It's showing. Hunter Ray's in a similar boat. And you look at their qualifying this year, they're not qualifying in the top 5, top 6. And they might get top 10s, but they're not qualifying up front. Colton Herta is. I think that's why Colton Herta in the Andretti camp, people are like, well, what's wrong with him? He's doing well, but these guys aren't. He's out qualifying them. So their odds where they are, throw money on them because, as you just said, their stats. I mean, Hunter Ray's got 3 straight top 5s, 2 of them on the podiums. I mean, Rossi, he's got 3 podiums his last 4 straight top 5s at Mid-Ohio. Their past stats show they can do it. Their qualifying stats this year say otherwise. So, but while their odds are where they are, it doesn't hurt, I think, to sprinkle some money their way.
All right, now Rinus VeeKay missed the Road America race because of his broken clavicle, so he's back. But he's 20-1. He's got the win on the Indy road course this year. It's just all. I mean, that's a good number at 20-1. I guess it's just about whether or not you believe that he's going to be okay.
And I do. He's a tough kid. Joseph Newgarden had a similar injury in 2016 with the same car at the Ed Carpenter Racing, same numbers, same everything. Got in a scary wreck at Texas, broke his clavicle. Granted, it's a different situation now. They broke their clavicle, but they still each broke their clavicle. He came back a few weeks later, raced at Road America, got a top 10. A few weeks after that at Iowa, which is 2 physically demanding tracks, he led like 283 laps and won. And that got him to where Penske's attention to where he's at today. I think VeeKay can do the same. I feel like he's a tough kid. You're getting the guy that he only dropped to 6. He was tied for 5th in the standings going into the last race. So he only dropped 1 spot. And you're getting him for 20-1 on a track he's really, 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 really good at. He did this really good there in Road to Indy program. So I feel like for 20-1, he's definitely a top 5 finisher. I think you can get a guy that can still win this race and maybe gain attention of a bigger team where he possibly can move to even next year.
Yeah, why not? I mean, that should be a no-brainer. All right. Then Ray Hall, 18-1. He won this race in 2015. He was 4th in both races last year.
Yeah, and this is his home track. It means the most to him other than the Indy 500. He's got 5 top 4s in his last 7. No, actually 6 top 5s in his last 8. This track means a lot to him. They have qualifying woes. That's their problem. Like the Andretti guys, him and Takuma Sato are not qualifying well. But as we said before, he started 13th and won. So he could win this race. You're getting him for those odds. Take him. Run all day with it because on the off chance they get the qualifying thing figured out and he starts up front, you're getting a potential race winner who will be aggressive to win at this race for 18-1. And so I would definitely throw money his way.
And the same thing with Sato, as usual, at 40-1. We say it every race. I mean, you might as well just throw a buck or 2 on Sato.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. Is this his best track? No. But is this Ray Hall's track they spend a lot of time on? Yes. Go with it. Go with him. And one that's farther back, Santino Ferrucci, he's back. He's raced 3 races with Ray Hall this year. He's finished top 10 in all of them. And he was decent at Mid-Ohio. Remember I said he qualified up front and got in that wreck with Herta. What's his odds? I don't have him right in front of me. But what's Santino Ferrucci?
Oh, I don't have those either.
He's probably not even on there yet. That shows you how long of odds he is.
Yeah, he's not one of those guys out of all of them that I would put in here. So
I bet you he's probably 80-1 is where he's going to show up at. I would take him. I would take Santino and run with it because another Ray Hall driver. He's never ran for a team like this at their home track with good equipment. And like I said, 3 top 10s and 3 tries this year in that car. He's racing for a future. So I would definitely go his way.
Let's see. He is 50-1.
Oh, 50. They gave him a little bit more respect. Think about that. He's 50-1 and Takuma's 40-1. They're coming to his side a little bit. So yeah, and definitely want to take those guys.
All right, and then Grosjean is 22-1, 5th at Road America, 2nd in the Indy road race. So, I mean that's
go
a good...
with it. He tested here too. Ferrucci had all that success in a coin car, which what he's in. So, yep, go with it. I would go with Grosjean for those odds. Again, he was similar odds at Road America, which is baffling. They just kind of kept him there. So, yeah, take it because he can win.
All right, before we call it a show, any other drivers worth mentioning or any other tidbits?
Probably not for race winners. The only other one that you could probably get as a big sleeper that we didn't talk about is Felix Rosenquist. He's back this weekend, too. He missed his last 2 races because of his wreck in Belle Isle. He finished 2nd here as a rookie. He was sixth in the first race last year, so it's 2 top 6 and 3 tries. He was starting to come along. He's tested here a lot with Ganassi, which led him to the Ganassi seat that he was in before he joined Arrow McLaren SP. He's got motivation, obviously, to race for next year to prove that, hey, keep me in the seat. So I would probably throw money Rosenquist's way. Other than that, we mentioned all the stats. It should be a good race in terms of it's going to be competitive as hell, like it always is. Qualifying is going to mean something, and just pay attention to the whole thing, because what you might see most of the race, somebody dominating, they may not win in the end.
And then again, we're back talking IndyCar when?
Well, it'll be August before the Nashville race, but I think we're going to try to get some guests and stuff lined up.
Oh, in between. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Because some people may wonder, well, why is IndyCar taking a month off? What in the world? They're supposed to run Toronto next weekend, and obviously because Canada just wasn't going to work. And then they had, like NASCAR, the break for the Olympics. So just it all coincided to a month off. But it's not ideal, and some people wondered why they're not running a doubleheader this weekend, just because they did last year. And Penske said you don't want to just throw races together. You don't want to just add a race to add a race. Doubleheaders aren't ideal for anybody. You're adding more money, more time, more resources, and they're not giving you more money in return. It's just another race thrown in. So that's why they're not making it up. They're not doing a doubleheader. We'll go from 17 to 16 races. Could hurt the competition because Alex Palou is looking so good right now as far as catching him. But they'll just leave it alone. One race this weekend, and then we got a month off before we return to what's going to be a very big race in Nashville. A lot of attention around it on August 8th.
All right. Well, again, that's the next time that we're going to be previewing a race. Again, that's going to be in August, the first week of August. But we will, at some point, be back in between, as Eric said, with some interviews. So can't wait for that. So don't forget to check in and subscribe, because you subscribe, then it makes it a lot easier whenever these interviews are available. They'll pop up on your YouTube screen, and you'll know, hey, wait a second, I didn't even realize. I figured I would just check in with them next time there was a race, but boom, I've subscribed,
there it is.
And they've got an interview with the driver that I want to hear what they have to say. So
exactly,
yeah, that should be pretty cool. All right, sounds good. And don't forget, also for NASCAR fans, we have our NASCAR preview. We did that yesterday with CJ Radun of RotoWire for the race this week at Road America. And hopefully the bandwidth issues will be fixed up after all the problems that they had previously. Matter of fact, this is the first time we've been able to talk about that on the IndyCar show, because we did not have the post-race press conferences last time because of bandwidth issues. It had nothing to do with us or IndyCar. It was bad bandwidth issues at Road America. So we'll find out if NASCAR has that fixed for this weekend, and hopefully we'll be able to send those press conferences out as well. Bottom line is, again, NASCAR also, we will be recording a silly season show here in a few minutes. That will be available as well here on the channel later today. So for Eric Smith, I'm Greg DePalma. We'll see you next time here on Prime Sports Speed.